Hello, a very good afternoon. Welcome to the Pulse on the Joy News channel on your multi-TV. And coming up in the next 2 hours, remove that branding. That's the demand of the NGO road safety advocates as they head to court to demand the removal of those controversial branding. We'll hear from the petitioners and get more answers on that particular story. Also, impending plane crashes in Accra. Air traffic controllers warn encroachment on their lands is making it difficult to retool, and that could collapse air control in the country. We'll hear from them and ask the key questions as to whether we are raising the right alarm. And we'll take you to Allah, where the residents have hit the streets to demonstrate against high electricity tariffs and faulty meters. We have the details of these stories and more in the next 2 hours. My name is Francis Aban. Grab that chair, sit down, and let's get started. And as always, your views and comments are welcome on this show. Look for us on our social media platforms. On Facebook, you can find us at Joy News on TV. On Twitter, at Joy News on TV. You can also look for us on Instagram at Joy News on TV. Drop your comments, your picture, whatever it is, your thoughts, whichever way you want to present it, you can share them with us here on the show. We'll be glad to share your thoughts and your perspective on any of the stories we bring you today on our social media platforms right here on the program. Remember that this is a very interactive show, and so I will advise that you bring in your comments as soon as possible. Now, we begin today with some developments happening in Bortianor here in the Greater Accra region, because we're learning today that the MP for Wager has raised some concerns. Some residents of Bortianor are in a battle with the Kingdom Group Ghana Limited, a private estate developer, over a parcel of land. According to the residents, the area being excavated by Kingdom Group Limited is part of a river from which majority of the fisherfolk get their livelihood. But the new owners of the land, or should I say that stream, insist the land is nothing short of a marshy area on which they intend to build a resort because they have followed due process. We'll bring you an interview with the Member of Parliament shortly, but my colleague Patricia Gasu has been to the community to understand what the challenge is between the developer and the residents, and has come through with this report.
This is the Sakumo River, and I've been told it has been sold to the King's University. Their main aim is to build a hotel. So they brought an excavator to pull out the weed from the river, fill it with sand and gravel so they can build. The people in this community are not so happy about this because this is a flood-prone area. Those that cannot go to the sea like to fish here. And anytime the dam is spilled of excess water, the whole place gets flooded. They are not so happy about it. And I want to find out, why would somebody or anybody at all want to build a hotel in a flood-prone area? I'll be speaking to some community members to find out more.
We have a stream that flows from the top, that we call it solo flow to it. So always there's water here. Always water will flow from the top, and we have been fishing. We have the areas around who are fishermen who normally fish in the stream.
Okay. But looking at it, he started pulling the weed from the river. Don't you think it's a good thing, or?
No, it's not a good thing. It's pulling the weed. After that, it will cover it with sand. It's reclaiming the land. And after reclaiming it, it's coming to put a hotel. It's coming to put a permanent building on it. So when it rains, it's going to affect those who stay around. All the river, all the water that flows from the top. As you can see, the hill from the top descend to this river That's where it settles. So the moment you put up this building over here, this water will move. So where will it go? Then it will go to the Aigbe town, where the Aigbe people have settled. And it's going to call, already when it's raining, it floods over there. We tried to stop him. That was last week, Saturday. And he put a stop to it. The next day, he went and brought dozer. First, it was using the excavator. He went and brought dozer. So some of my elders also went in and they stopped him. And still, the excavator is still here.
While speaking to this resident, workers of the company were alerted of our presence at the site. But the residents were angered at their presence, which led to misunderstanding and exchange of words. Vincent Senyo-Samavo is the finance director for Kingdom Group Limited. We heard this river or land has been sold to your company.
Yes, it's land that has been sold to our company.
Not a river.
Not a river. As you can see, it's quite shallow, and it's a spillover from the stream. There has been a lot of pollution on the stream, so it gets choked, and then the land spills over a long period of time. That's what has created. So this is just water lodged over here. It's very shallow. The equipment have been moving in it, and if you don't mind, we can even walk into this right now for you to know. It's very shallow. It's not a river.
Okay, so how was it before you came?
Before we came here, it was like that. I hope you can see. It was like that. Nobody ever came here. It's land, but it was covered with weeds and grass and all these things.
The people in the community are not so happy about it.
Yes, as it goes in to say, with every development that goes on, there are people who would be on your side, there are people who would be forces of resistance, but we have followed our due process. We bought the land from the rightful owners. We settled all the other factions, Asafo boys, the chiefs, the family that owns the land. And as I said earlier before, we cannot go and put money in everybody's pockets, but we follow the due process. And obviously there will be resistance, but I don't think there should be any resistance. I think if they rather welcome this project, it will benefit them in many ways that they have no idea about.
Okay. So the fisher folks over there are saying that your presence here is really going to disturb them.
We are
here when we saw excavators dredging the river. I have 4 children and I am a widow. This is where I get my daily bread. What will I do if they sell the river?
We have children. This is where we get our daily bread. Whoever sold it should return the money.
This is where I get my daily bread. I won't agree to the sale of the river. We won't agree.
Well, what happened to them at Bojo Beach? I would just like to, I don't have the details of that, but I can say in a nutshell, it goes to say, with land in Accra, they sell the land and then they want the land. They sold the land to Bojo Beach. Now they are saying their people cannot go there and whatnot. I mean, that's between them and Bojo Beach. But I believe Bojo Beach paid in full for the land. That's why now they cannot go there. Yeah. That shouldn't be an issue. We have also bought this land. We have fulfilled all our duties in owning this land. But even to go a step further, we have designs in our plan to build a fish market for the community over here.
Close to the hotel?
Right here. We are going to build a fish market over here, complete one with freezers, stores and everything as a gift from us to the community as part of our social responsibility so that they can fish in a more hygienic way to reduce the amount of litter and the bad smells and everything over here to make this place a very conducive, a beautiful environment. And that is a gift that we are giving to the community apart from all the monies that we've already paid to acquire the land. We are not obliged to do that, but we are doing that just to show them that, look, we are good tenants. We want to be here, operate with you in harmony.
This is it's not wrong. It's a metropolitan area. Please.
Now they're saying they're going to demonstrate against your company. What are you going to do about it?
Just like every project that goes on, there are people who support you, there are restraining forces. It's about managing them. I believe they should rather come together as a team, put their grievances on the table, and then we can see what we can do to mitigate all these problems to reduce their grievances.
Why are you bringing trouble? Why are you bringing trouble?
Patricia has to put together that report from Bortianor. We can speak to the Member of Parliament for the area, DEMODZIE. Good afternoon to you, sir. Mr. DEMODZIE, can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, have you already heard the concerns of your people in that area with regards to the sale of that piece of land, be it a marshy area or what they call a river? What do you know about this situation and what are you doing about it?
Thank you very much. Very simple. You know, in Bortianor or in Ghana, we have different types of land ownership. We have family ownership, we have stool lands, and all that. So, but basically in Bortianor, we have family and stool land ownership. So, if an individual decided to sell his property or a family decided to sell his property, I don't think that it is my responsibility to intervene as to how you dispose of his property. But it is a responsibility of the assembly, the two assemblies, to find out what kind of development that is going on in that area. So the first question is whether they have the permit to develop that community or to develop that particular land. That's the first point I want to raise. But I do not agree with the developers in one sense. What I'm trying to say is that if you want to put up or make an investment in a community, it is not only enough to just purchase the land from the family or from the stool, but community engagement with the key stakeholders is so very, very important. So if the members of the community disagrees with you, with your investment, then you know that you are in trouble. So the point I'm trying to make is that the investors need to engage with the community to find out what is the concern of the community, what is their worry, but that they have not been able to do. That's why I am in support with regard to what the community is talking about. The concern is that even with the stakeholders, we don't actually know what kind of investment they are doing, what kind of development they want to do, how are they going to ensure that the livelihood of the people are taken care of. So those are the issues that the investors need to take a look at. So the community is concerned about the kind of thing they are doing. I think it's in order. I am fully in support with my community because the concern is that they need to engage with the community. They need to engage the stakeholders of the community. They need to engage with the chiefs and the elders of the community. If they fail to do that, then it's a cause for concern.
Mr. DEMODZIE, is it your understanding that the company in question, and I mean the developers, failed to do this? Because it could also be that these residents are complaining without arresting themselves with the facts that they need to know.
I don't get your point.
I'm saying that, is it your understanding, per what you know on the ground, that the developers did not follow the laid-down procedure in informing the people in the area and also getting the requisite permit to do what you're doing in the area?
If you are coming to invest in a community and the member of parliament is not aware, because that place is a critical concern to the people, the assembly members are not aware, the unit committee members are not aware, the elders are not aware, because we are going to educate them on the relevance of the development, the benefit that the investment is going to bring to the people. So if you're not in touch with the youth groups, because all those people, you must engage with them. That's social engagement. With any investment at all, must engage with the people. It can be the good thing that they want to do. But if you don't engage with the people and let them know how beneficial the thing is to them, you will see this kind of reprisal from the people. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, so as the Member of Parliament for the area, you're saying that you're not directly in charge of this, but considering the kind of heat and anger these people are sharing with us on this channel, what are you personally going to do to intervene to ensure that this matter does not escalate into something else?
The first point is to engage the MCE to find out whether they've gone through the necessary permit. That's the first thing. And in the application or the request for permit, they will state exactly what they want to do, the intention, and educate myself with regard to what actually the investors want to do. Then we move up from there. I myself and the MC will engage with the developers to find out how we can engage the community and let them know that is, if I find out that what they're coming to do is relevant to the community, it will be beneficial to the community, and it will improve the livelihood of the people. Then we'll engage with the investors. After engaging with the investors, we'll call and we'll engage the stakeholders. I'm talking about the community leadership, the assemblyman, the unit committee members, the youth group. We'll bring all of them on board to educate them and let them know how beneficial the investment is to the community. And I think when we do it this way, all of us will be in the same line.
All right, Mr. DEMODZIE, thank you for your time. So within which period are you seeking to finish this so we don't see this blow up?
Now the point is that tomorrow I'll meet the MC to have a discussion with him, and for me to look at the applications for the permit and get the purpose, what exactly they want to do. Then we'll arrange a meeting. Possibly by the end of the week, we'll be able to do between myself and then the investors. Then from next week, normally Tuesdays that the fisher folks, normally they are in the house. In the house, they don't go to fishing on Tuesday. We'll see how we can engage with some of the stakeholders in the community.
All right. Thank you for your time, Mr. Bright DEMODZIE, the Member of Parliament for Bortianor, Neleshie, Amanfrom constituency. That's where we're seeing this land struggle coming up quite strongly in Bortianor. He's already indicated that he will step in and get to speak to the authorities so they get to the bottom of this matter before we see the people demonstrate and the standoff between them and the developers escalating into something else. We'll still keep an eye on issues to do with lands and a tussle going on. This time is between the Osu Traditional Council and governments. We have the details of that story and more after this break. Stay with us. You're welcome back to The Pulse on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. And just before the break, I was indicating that the issues of lands is one thing we are still keeping our eye on here on the program, because the Osu Traditional Council is accusing government of hiding behind some chiefs in Accra to illegally grab their lands. It follows complaints by the Achimota School and other institutions that some powerful persons in government are selling their lands to private developers. The chiefs have been addressing a news conference in Accra today. Ninoi Osikan Peneki, the Shipi Dudo of Osu, spoke for the Osu chiefs.
Achimota School / Osu School property, whatever the courts have said, has only served to divide Osu. It is rather strange and pathetic for the Mankralo of Osu, Ni Akonote IV, to disown Ni Note Uwo III, the legitimate and still the substantive Osu Manche, as having been distilled without any evidence or proof of any ceremony for distillment, and yet proceeded out of his own selfish interest and greed to wrongfully appoint his own Osu Manche with the shameless support of some unscrupulous state officials. Meanwhile, the Mankralo is even not part or a member of the kingmakers of Osu. We are, however, not pleased because it is Osu's two lands and properties that are being toyed with. However, it is not for Mankralo or Kinka Dowona, an indigene of Fase, based in the Gamashi, to spearhead such fundamental business for Osu. Ninoto Uwo III and his council have the capacity, the support of the indigenes of Osu, and the traditional authority backing, and can therefore competently deal with all matters affecting Osu's two boundaries and properties. Under no circumstance should government consider releasing any Osu's two land or property to the imposter, Kinka Dowona of Gamfase Beshin. Under no circumstance should government consider releasing any Osu's two land or property to the imposter, Kinka Dowona of Gamfase Beshin Division. We are therefore, by this platform, afforded us by the media, cautioning and urging all individuals, group, state operatives and state developers who busily transacting business with Kinka, Dawona, and Mankraro to desist and advise themselves. It won't be long before the chickens come home roosting.
Right, so joining me in the studio this afternoon is Ninote Adumwa IV, Usiahini of the Osu traditional area, for more on this particular story. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon.
So what's the issue here? For a long time, we've had these stories making around on the quiet about the Osu lands having some challenges. What's the problem here? What has triggered this news conference today?
Yes, thank you very much, my brother, and my regards and greetings to your viewers as well. It has triggered, or this problem has come up this day, because we can see the kind of jokes that is being going on with Osu, the kind of toying that the successive governments, have been toying with our stew.
And when you say successive governments, which governments are you referring to?
I'm referring to from Jerry Rawlings up to date. Anybody comes in and try to find a way of imposing a chief on us. Nobody waits for any proper exit of any incumbent chief. They come and somebody has to find a way of creating his own chief in a way of getting to our properties, just getting signatures from such characters or this so-called pretending and imposing chiefs, so that they get their signatures just to dispose of and sell off our properties.
Now, how many of your properties have been sold? And you say this quite strongly as an allegation of imposters being in the system. We'll get to that shortly. But how many of your lands, in your words or in your view, has been wrongfully sold?
A lot. A lot. In fact, if I should say, Osu is halfway finished. Because when you go to, start from Ridge and then get to Ringway Estates, and you see these high-rising buildings that is being raised at these areas. And then you ask yourself, who is in charge? Who is, giving these properties out for development? You won't get anybody to tell you who is really behind this thing. And if I don't forget, Lands Commission is in charge. In fact, the lands were vested in trusts. It doesn't belong to Land Commission. A Land Commission must always dispose of or give it out by consulting us.
But again, hold on. You gave these lands to the state, didn't you?
Exactly.
And what was the agreement you had with the state?
The agreements were, some were rents, some were leaseholds, and the ones they actually bought are in their own possessions. And that is why we have the Osumanche layout. That is why we have the Osumanche layout. The Osumanche layout, everything in there, every single land plot in there is a vested property. You understand? Vested in the government. So if the lease and everything on it is expired, we expect that is reversed back to the rightful owners. And even if it's going to be used for another purpose, then it means they have to come back and then reacquire. But this is not being done.
Are many more of these lands in the lease agreement you have expired? And when did they expire? And what has happened since then? I need to understand the trajectory with which you are moving with the story.
I think some of these properties have been expired for the past 20 years, 30 years, and you only see Lands Commission going behind through a certain imposter chief just to sign some document and then dispose it off, either sell it outright or I think it is just sales. They are just selling the properties outright and then taking big time monies, dollars here and there. And you don't see the same development you see on those lands. That development does not affect the people of Osu.
Who does it affect?
Yes, it affects the so-called imposters and their cohorts. You understand? Because you go there and you don't see anything new at Osu. Go there. All the lands they claim that the so-called Mankalo and the so-called Kinka, Dawona have sold. And even the current Jimpa issue that is happening there. Of course, you ask all these lands that were given out through the machination of some of these government officials. Okay?
Which government officials are you referring to?
Yes, definitely. I cannot walk to, I cannot walk to Jimpa or Achimota and take a land there just like that. Even though we gave the land to them, there are procedures, there are processes that you have to go through.
Has the lease agreement for that Achimota land expired?
I wouldn't say yes, Neither would I say no.
Why not?
Yes,
you should
because,
know.
Yes, because we have been to court. We have been to court and won a case for the portion which has brought this issue up today. We won a case, but it's like the Achimota school is not happy with it. I want to believe that it is not a struggle. It is onus on us as the chiefs to sit with the school, because the chiefs are there for development. You understand? So even if the school thinks that, oh, we've taken a bigger portion, or what the court gave to us is too big, it is up to us to sit with the school. Because, of course, since myself and you are still giving birth, since our children are also coming to give birth, we will need expansion. So definitely the school is not, I'm not against the school in any way, but I am for that, okay, I give something to you. I need a portion of whatever I give to you. It is right that, okay, if whatever I'm taking is bigger, and the school thinks that, oh, in a way, when you give me this one, I can also leave the rest for you. It is just a matter of talking. It's a matter of understanding, coming together.
Okay, but for the land in question that you say you've won the case in court on, have you already sold some of the lands to some people already?
Oh, wonderful. I personally sitting here have not sold any land to somebody, but I know that some of these pretenders and the imposters, chiefs that I'm talking about from my place, have sold it. And that is how come. And that is how come you can see that they've raised walls on the land. Those cubes, the cubes walls that were raised, which they demolished just recently. If they've not sold it, who are the people that they give those lands to? Why those walls? You see 40-acre wall, you see 20-acre wall, you see 10-acre wall. Who are behind it?
Okay, so if you're saying that these are imposters who are taking over these lands, have you reported the matter to the police? The law which you take its course in ensuring that what you want you get back.
Of course. I think we actually, it's not about the police. I would say that God has come from heaven. God has descended by that demolition that really happened, because he loved his people so much that he wouldn't allow any imposters and fictitious fraudulent chiefs to go out there and dispose of the little that is left for the street.
But you're saying that these are imposters. Imposters are dealt with,
in court with them
by the police.
We are in court with them. We are in court with the so-called pretending chief,
okay,
who was imposed on us by some of these government officials.
So the solution here is in court. You are in court to deal with this matter, aren't you? Yeah. So meantime, you're saying that the lands which you own, no one should sell it.
Of course.
Have you had a conversation with the government which you gave these lands to, not to sell these lands anymore?
Definitely a government which have decided, to turn a deaf ears on anything that we say, except things that the imposter, the one they have imposed on us, says that they listen. How can we move forward? Of course, and that is why today you see this trouble that we are all seeing. Because if you don't listen to me, because if I have a property, okay, and I've listed the property to you, I'm expecting that if it's expired, if I'm taking the property back, or I'm giving it back to you, I'm giving it for a purpose, okay? My people need development. They need schools. They need hospitals. Also need a better development. Also is the eye of Ghana. We need a better development. We need to develop the people in Osu. But what do we see? The only thing you hear some people saying that Ghana doesn't like work. I am against that. You understand? We are not afforded them the opportunities to do so. We are only bedeviling and destroying everything, anything that could also lift up our children. And the only thing we are doing is selfish interest by some chiefs.
Okay, at this point I need to stop you, because in as much as you accuse people of doing things, the solution is about meeting, having a certain line of agreements and mediation.
Of course.
So this matter is resolved.
You ask a question, I have done so. What have you done? We have done so. We have gone to the government.
So meantime, what are you doing about this?
Meantime, of course, now today, we have come out and we have made it clear to the whole world that, of course, the people and those are on that land. And we have even cautioned those that are doing businesses with these people that they will not go far with them, because they are not the rightful owners of the land. They are not the rightful people to be in charge of the land. They are not the rightful people to speak on behalf of Osu. The people who are supposed to speak on behalf of Osu are the kingmakers, and we have spoken. Therefore, we are taking it from there, that anybody who knows it has any business on that land, the government himself, releasing our properties for imposters should stop. Put a full stop to it.
Otherwise,
and then come back to us and then talk. In any case, we have planned a demonstration on Homo, the very Homo Day Tuesday, on August. We're going to demonstrate for the first time in the history of Ghana that all these things that is happening to Ghana State must stop. These things that is happening to Osu must stop. We must put a stop to it. Even if you want to bury us on our own home, you want to bury us on our own lands, respect us. Give me water to drink before you cut off my head.
Okay. Nino Tedumwa IV, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon here on the program. Thank you, sir, for joining us. He is the Osahene for the Osu traditional area, telling us more about this issue to do with the Osu lands here on the show. Right, and news we're just receiving is that a second petition has been filed at the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice on that matter involving the gifts given to President John Mahama by a Bortianor contractor. We're just learning that a second petition has been filed at Shraj just this afternoon by some individuals who will try and get you more details. The information is just trickling in just a few seconds ago, and so I just need to share it with you at this point. The news we're getting this afternoon is that a second petition has been filed at the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. This will be the second we're seeing. Already we know that a group with the Convention People's Party has filed this petition challenging the decision by a Bortianor contractor to give President John Mahama a gift which was received and added to the fleet of vehicles used at the presidency. We'll bring you more on this particular story as and when we have details. Remember that for this issue that has been running from last week Wednesday when the story broke, the indication we're getting now per Stride is that if a petition is filed, it will be the basis for them to investigate this matter in details, so we'll get to know whether a prima facie case can be established against the president or not. So we'll see how this plays out in the coming days. We'll tell you who exactly has filed the second petition in just a moment. But if you're just joining us, the information we are receiving here on the Pulse is that a second petition has been filed in relation to the gift given to the president by a Bortianor contractor. Has been filed at the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice Shrine just this afternoon. We'll go for a quick break at this point. When we come back, we'll give you more details on the story that is just coming through. Branding of Metro Mass Transit buses with images of President Mahama and others. You'll recall the controversy surrounding the branding of the buses after the Attorney General asked Smarties Production Limited to recover excess payments for the rebranding of some 116 new buses. Well, now, Road Safety Advocates Ghana says the branding on the side windows of the buses must be removed because it violates the road traffic regulations law. Now, Ano Ame here is an executive with the Road Safety Advocates Ghana. He's joining me in the studio now for more on this story. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us today. So, we know you filed the written court today, didn't you?
No, we didn't file the writ. We filed mandamus.
Okay.
Well, the lawyers know what the difference is. This is a mandamus compelling MMT to comply with the road law.
And what was the response you got? Was there any representation from the other side today in court?
Yes, in fact, we actually dragged the Attorney General, the Minister of Transport, and then Metro Mass Transit. And then Attorney General appeared today, and apparently they filed a motion in opposition. But our counsel was not, was not served. So the court agreed to adjourn till the 12th of July for our counsel to be served.
Okay. So with this writ, what are you seeking to correct here?
Basically, what we are saying is that, let me tell you what the sole purpose of road safety advocates is, so we know where we are coming from. Our sole purpose is safety on the roads, hence our name, Road Safety Advocates. We complement the work of National Road Safety Commission's strenuous campaign and education of the general public to rid of the carnage on our roads. And where they fall short, we fill in the gaps, such as dragging if you like, people say government, but we drag the Ministry of Transport and MMT to court for them to comply with the law. So that, I'm sure NRSC will not be able to do that. So we are basically just a sole purpose non-governmental organization trying to ensure sanity on our roads.
Okay, what does the law say about branding of buses? Because some will say these buses have been in town for a while now. Why are you raising the concerns? Some 2 months after it was branded?
Now, LI 2180, regulations 67 and 68. I cannot quote it verbatim, but to paraphrase, it says that any one passenger riding in a bus should see and be seen. And the emphasis now is on to be seen. And if you look at the bus that has been branded, we don't care whose picture is on there. But if you look at it from the outside, you cannot see the passengers inside the vehicle. So that's why we know that the law expressly prohibits that, and that we want to go to court and ensure that MMT complies with the law.
Since you're a road safety expert, I need to ask, what was the reasoning for this law?
Yes,
why people should be seen in a vehicle? Because for me, if I am sitting in a vehicle and I can see the outside, why should someone see me in my car?
The spirit behind the law, I'm not a lawyer, but the spirit behind the law is that assuming you have a VVIP bus that is tinted to a level of opaqueness and is driving on the road, and you know it's a public bus, it's not exclusively for private people. So if people who go on the bus, about 4 of them, decide to hijack the bus and then instruct the driver at a gunpoint to take them to a flower border, I mean, the bus is so tinted and so opaque that you will not be able to see what is going on inside the bus. So, I mean, it's in the public interest that at least if people can see what is going on in the bus, people will raise the alarm, wouldn't it? So that is why the framers of the law, in their right frame of mind, stated that public buses should have at least 70% transmittance of light in the windows, so that any bus that is plying the road, a public bus, can be the passengers can see and be seen. Okay.
Now, for the individuals or the groups that you've sued, I'm talking about the Transport Ministry, the Metro Mass Transit, especially for the Metro Mass Transit. When your group realized this challenge with our buses, did you draw the attention to it?
Yes, there is something the lawyers call local remedies. And we have one of our colleagues, Kwabena Ose. He's an avid writer. He writes on everything on road safety. So the moment these branding and other things that were done, he saw that it offends the regulations 67 and 68. So he quickly wrote in the graphic, in the newspapers, and some of us also went shouting on the rooftops anytime we had opportunity to appear on such platforms like yours. And nobody took notice. So, I mean, we cannot go and put a sledgehammer or take a gun to the head of the MMT bosses to strip the offending adverts. So what we have to do is to go to court and let the court compel the offending agencies to do the right thing, to conform to the law.
Okay. And since you started this process, has there been any unofficial or official response from the Metro Mass Transit on why they took this decision when they clearly knew what the law says about covering these buses?
You know, this country, when you write to government agencies, ministries and what have you, you'll be very lucky to have a response.
It means you did and you did not get a response.
Our colleague, Osei Kwabena, wrote to the MMT, to the Attorney General, and I can say on authority, he's written copiously, wherever platform he can get opportunity, and not a single soul responded to his, what do you call it, his copious probing or what have you.
Okay, so next month this matter will be talked about again in court, but at the end of the day, what are you seeking all in all? So we get clarity on this matter once and for all.
No, basically for the law to be complied with. We are a country, not a banana republic. We are a country governed by rules and regulations. And if we see something that people or organizations are blatantly or brazenly violating with reckless abandon, I think we should go to court and ensure that the law is enforced and complied with.
Okay. Once you mentioned the law and it's being complied with to the letter, I need to ask, the other case you filed on the tricycles that we spoke about some time ago, what's the update on that case?
Well, in fact, coincidentally, both cases came in together today. But when we went to court, which was the Human Rights Court 2, the Attorney General, when we did a search, had not responded to our writ. So the judge has adjourned the case to the 27th of this month. So we're going back to court on the 27th of...
Which is next week.
Which is next week, I think Tuesday.
Now, is there a list of things that you are seeking to correct, things that are being done unlawfully for you as a group with the way road traffic regulations are being, in your view, abused in this country?
Yes, I think that's what informed the formation of our Road Safety Advocates Ghana, which I think is the only one in Africa, is to ensure that the laws, the road laws, which is bringing so much carnage on our road, the death of people, our fatality statistics is increasing. I mean, you have the statistics last time when I came here, that within the first quarter, we've killed over 500 Ghanaians. And let me even tell you about the tricycles. The tricycles in Tamale alone, every month, according to the statistics that we have, 10 people are killed in Tamale on motor tricycles related incidents or accidents. So we as road safety advocates, our sole purpose is to ensure that, as I said earlier, we are out there to complement the National Road Safety Commission safety and education campaign, and also where they fall short, the gaps that they fall short on, we fill them in, such as the action that we've taken in court to embolden the state agencies like the MTTD and the DVLA to do the right thing.
Okay. Should we expect more of writs like this in the coming days?
Sure.
In relation to this?
Till infinitum. I mean, we are here as Road Safety Advocates Ghana, and from now till God grant us life, we will hear more of road safety advocates who will go to court to ensure that the law, road law, which a lot of agencies are putting in the back burner and then not conforming with them, would conform with the law.
What's the next one we should expect?
The next one, I mean, that one, I would say is something private, it's not public interest, but it's those vehicles that also, we hope, the judge will also draw a bit on that. Those vehicles that you see running on the roads, V8s, tainted, windows, they also offend the law. So we hope DVLA will take judicial notice.
Tinted V8s or tinted vehicles in general?
Tinted vehicles, even a taxi. I mean, I've spotted a couple of taxis. The danger is a taxi is a public transport.
So for the private ones, you have concerns with it?
I do. But then for the public ones, I mean, a taxi is a public transport, isn't it?
Yes.
Imagine a tinted taxi that an unsuspecting passenger goes and board it, and there's somebody waiting in there who is going to do something, kidnap the person or rape the person in the full glare, won't be in the full glare of the public, but in broad daylight, in the streets of Accra, and nobody can raise alarm. These are the concerns of road safety advocates. So we look at the law, where there are challenges and there are things that we feel it will serve the public interest, you certainly will hear from us.
Okay. Nana Anoamia, I want to say thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure for country and mankind.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us. Nana Anoamia is with the Road Safety Advocates Ghana, the group that sent government to court, dragged them to court, in fact, questioning why the Metro Mass Transit buses should be branded. It violates a certain section of the law when it's actually blocking many of the windows of the buses that have been branded today. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Now, to some other stories today, and this is one story that I can't wait to see happen in the country today. Seth Kwame Boateng's latest documentary, Left to Rot, is a sequel to his Locked and Forgotten documentary, which was on the state of Ghana's prisons. It will be premiering on the 22nd of June, tomorrow, at the New Court Complex at exactly 3 p.m., same time the poll starts. The man himself is here to give you some tickets and also a little teaser on what to look out for when it plays for you.
According to the United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for the Treatment of Prisoners, All countries have an obligation to observe certain basic human rights standards in their prisons. Standards regarding the conditions of detention must be observed regardless of a state party's level of development. The UN demands a minimum floor space and cubic content of air for each prisoner, adequate sanitary facilities, clothing which shall by in no manner degrading or humiliating, provision of a separate bed, and provision of food of nutritional value adequate for health and strength. I decide to go around and check how far these standards are being met in this prison. The prison administration is supposed to provide inmates with food of wholesome quality. More than 1 cedi 80 pesos is needed to provide this kind of meal for inmates. For years, prisoners have been fed on 1 cedi 80 pesos daily. Director General of the Ghana Prison Service, Emmanuel Ajato, says this amount is woefully inadequate. Until all these things are done, inmates will continue drinking watery porridge without sugar and either eat their famous gari, which goes with a kind of colored water mixed with palm oil, supposed to be palm nut soup, or bankung, which goes with what I would describe as improvised groundnut soup. For first-hand information, the inmates, together with their officers, agreed to lead me to their places of convenience. The stench is extremely unbearable.
Okay, so I have been here for just a few hours. The congestion is just too much, and as you can hear in the background, they are not very happy. So anytime they see people like us around, they will want to tell their stories.
I am struggling to breathe as a result of the stench and heat here, all because I am a first-time visitor. I wonder what asthma patients here go through. The remand population as of today is 625, and there are only 4 toilets here. Unfortunately, 2 of them are out of use now. This means the 625 inmates here share only 2 toilets. They form long queues in the morning to wait for their turn. At times, they do it on themselves. And just a few steps away from the almost half-full water closet are scores of inmates preparing different kind of food from their make-believe palm nut soup. Before they can eat the gari provided them, they have to sieve and do away with some large particles in the gari. Remember, all these things are taking place not far from their toilet. I wonder what will happen when there is outbreak of cholera.
As you can see, this gentleman is fortunate to have received food from home. So family members were here to visit him, and they brought him food. So he's sharing with his friends here. So it tells the difference between the food they eat here and the one we eat outside.
So those are some of the excerpts of what to expect in that documentary Left to Rot is premiering tomorrow at the court complex. I'll just briefly, in a moment, speak to Seth Kwame Boateng on what exactly we should expect tomorrow at the premiere. He's just returned from the location of that premiere. We'll bring you details on that story right after this very short break. Stay with us.
Hello Ghana, my name is Ebenezer Chum Asante, Chief Executive Officer of MTN Ghana. I bring you greetings from the yellow MTN family, and I have exciting news for you. As MTN celebrates 20 years of operating in Ghana, we are launching Ghana's widest coverage, most convenient, most affordable, most reliable 4G LTE service. MTN's 4G service brings you another level of speed and reliability, and this is on the go. So you can enjoy higher speeds, faster uploads and downloads, clearer video calling, and easy streaming. You can do all this directly on your mobile handset or by using devices like modems, routers, or MiFi. And all these are available at any MTN service center. MTN's 4G is the only 4G service directly accessible on your mobile phone and offers unprecedented internet speeds and capabilities that will change the way you communicate, socialize, entertain, do business, and participate in activities of all kinds. Using MTN's 4G service will enhance your experience as a customer and make you more efficient and productive, and give you more convenient access to global markets. In short, MTN's 4G service has the potential to transform our nation. With a 4G-enabled device and an MTN 4G SIM card, you can enjoy MTN 4G service in every regional capital and in many towns in the country. You can start by dialing *585# to check your phone's compatibility, or visit any MTN service center for assistance. Switch to MTN's 4G service and enjoy higher speed voice and data services on the go now. Welcome to the new world of unlimited possibilities. Thank you.
MTN, everywhere you go.
You're welcome back. Time to speak to the journalist of the year, Kwame Boateng, to tell us a bit more about the latest documentary, Left to Rot. Kwame, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You just returned from the new court complex.
Yeah.
How are things looking for tomorrow?
Things are shaping up. We are fixing a gadget. All the people supposed to be there are there, trying to working hard to ensure that tomorrow the event will be very successful.
How many people are coming for this premiere?
We made provisions for 300. Then I got a call later that all magistrates in Greater Accra are coming.
Wow.
So we were compelled to convert another court room into a second auditorium. Mm-hmm. So we are having to.
So that's 300 times 2?
No, 300 plus, like 100.
So 400 thereabouts.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right. I can tell that for the preparations you've done, there's a lot of interest building into the premiering of tomorrow's documentary. What's the one thing that for many of these judges who are keen to come and watch tomorrow, their main concern is?
I think they're going to be surprised to see that some of the people they were handling their cases 10 years ago are still on remand. Some they were trying them for 30 years ago are still on remand. Mm-hmm. They are going to see the terrible conditions in the prisons. Some are for the first time going to witness the deplorable conditions in the prisons and the need for all of us to come together and fix the problem. You're also going to find out how some of the dismissed judges following an expose have affected inmates in the prisons. Apparently some went home with their judgment.
Without judgment?
Yeah. They had prepared their judgment and they went home with their judgment, and one of them is dead. This person went home with a prepared judgment. So the suspect is still in jail on remand, waiting for the day a new court to say, come, let me continue your case. So these are some of the things we're going to see in the documentary.
Okay, that's for tomorrow, premiering tomorrow. What time exactly? 3 p.m.?
3 p.m.
Okay, yes. and this is for mostly those who work within the judiciary?
The criminal justice system. The police, the prisons, the judiciary. We are having, the Chief Justice is hosting us. The Interior Minister will be present, IGP, the prisons boss, a number of people, dignitaries are coming. The foreign embassies have started confirming their attendance as well.
Is the premiering live on this channel?
Yeah, it's most likely. Yeah, it's most likely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the full documentary airs next week?
Next week, Monday, Tuesday.
So for us viewers, we just have to be a little more patient.
Yeah, it will come to your room.
All right.
Monday, Tuesday.
So coming to your home next week, Left to Rot, the documentary put together by Seth Kwame Boateng. Thank you, Seth, for joining us. I'm sure that for many who are waiting for this documentary, for the judges and those in the criminal justice delivery system, they will be there tomorrow for the premiering, but we'll get to see it on your screens next week, Monday and Tuesday. Thank you, Seth, for your time. Staff of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority are expressing some concerns about what they say is the deteriorating aviation safety as a result of encroachment on aviation lands. This, they say, could result in plane crashes in the country, in Ghana. They are concerned that lands on which vital communication and surveillance equipment for planes operating at the Kotoka International Airport should have been erected on have been developed into, guess what, residential structures. This has made effective monitoring of planes difficult over the past few years. The staff in a statement mentioned specifically the La Wireless and La Quantanan lands, which they say government has sold for the development of properties. Let's get more details on this particular story. My colleague Joseph Akable has been to the areas to see for himself at first hand what exactly the problem is and how this is really going to affect aviation in the country today. Joseph, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. You've been quite busy today. You've been to the area. What did you see?
Well, Francis, it's a huge land. I mean, I'm told it's about 640-acre land. Now, that particular land is in between Madina and Adenta on the road that leads to Asalibuche. Now, when you visit the land, the entire area has been fenced using roofing sheets. Now, within the land, there are different activities ongoing there. For some parts of the land, you have some farming activities ongoing there, whilst other parts of the land, you have some infrastructure activity ongoing. They are putting up some structures over there. Now, what is not exactly clear is what exactly they are using it for. Because for the parts I visited, for one part, I'm told it's a bus terminal that is being put up at that particular place. And
who's putting up this bus terminal?
They tell me it's government that's undertaking a particular project, but we still haven't confirmed that officially. But from what I gathered on the ground, I'm told it's a bus terminal that's been put up by the state. The other parts too, we understand, has been given to some foreign nationals who are undertaking some projects over there. We understand a mall will be put up over there as well. So that is basically what is going on that particular land.
Okay, and for the questions you asked when you visited the area, did they tell you which individuals in government are selling these lands to residential developers?
That wasn't clear in my interaction with those over there. And when I spoke to some officials from the civil authority, the security personnel over there, and they told me that what they are certain of is the fact that government has taken control of the entire land. They are saying that if there's any indication or any suggestion coming that it's just parts of the land that they've taken control over, that is not true, but the entire parcel of land has been taken over by government.
And with what you saw, are almost all the lands sold out to people to come and build?
In terms of the works ongoing, if you want to understand this particular one in terms of that regard, it's not the entire part that is being used for now. It's just some parts, because 640 acres is very huge. So just some parts of the land that is being used as a stand, but for most parts, it's lying bare, whilst other parts, farming activities ongoing there.
And do we know for how long these people have started building their structures in this area?
We are told most of the activity started about a year or two ago. That is our next particular land.
Okay, thank you, Joseph Akable. And I'm sure that the concerns being raised, especially by the Ghana Air Traffic Safety Electronic Association, has been one of it compromising aviation safety in the country today. They've raised some concerns that if this matter is not checked before disaster strikes us today, we should be worried about this concern. We need to interrogate this matter a bit more. Joining us in the studio today is Mr. Samuel Orlando, the president for the Ghana Air Traffic Safety Electronic Association. He has been gracious enough to come here today to explain to us what exactly the challenge is. Because if we say there is a looming aviation crisis or disaster awaiting us, what exactly is the problem here? What are we looking at? Because if a 640-acre land, some of it has started being developed by private developers, how does it compromise aviation safety in the country? That's the big question that we're trying to seek an answer to today on the program. Mr. Samuel Tando is joining us in just a few moments to answer the key questions in relation to aviation safety and what ought to be done about it in the country today. If you're just joining us, you're watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Encroachment is what we're learning of today on the airport land, specifically around the Kotoka International Airport. So my guests have joined me now in the studio. I guess we can start off the conversation. Samuel Tando is the president for the Ghana Air Traffic Safety Electronic Association, and William Anwako is the spokesperson for the association under the Civil Aviation Society. Good afternoon to you, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
I guess I'll start with you, Mr. Anwako. If this development is compromising aviation safety. Tell us exactly what that means, beyond the two words I've just mentioned. What does it mean?
Basically, air traffic controllers speak with aircraft and pilots to be able to provide, what we do is we provide air traffic services. We use communication a lot. We communicate a lot. So if we don't have the means of communication, it's very difficult to talk to the aircraft. Our main job is to separate one aircraft from the other. You have an airspace that you control, and it is your duty to ensure that aircraft don't bump into each other. And we do that by surveillance and by communication. Surveillance, I mean, we have radar systems, we have ADS, B system, and other navigational aids. So if we are not able to use these facilities, definitely you can't control the aircraft. Okay, so let me understand this. For the land that is being sold now, is it that your equipment are on these lands and they've been taken out and these private developers are building on these lands?
Okay, let me give you, with the transmitter and receiver, they are not supposed to be at the same on the same marks. You're supposed to separate them. We have a 600,000 euro equipment lying down that we cannot install on the land because of the development that is going on there. We went there to do the installation and we're chased out. Chased out
by who?
The powers that be. You don't know. And you see, if we don't do this thing, the ones that we are using are old. So we need to install new equipment. If we don't do that, it means you can't cover large areas. And what will happen is an accident.
Okay. Now, for this issue that you've raised, for how long have you seen this trend of people building in these areas start?
I think about a year now.
A year now?
Yes.
Now, do you have an idea, and since you're the guys who are running things on the ground, I need to ask you, do you know which individuals are selling off these lands?
In fact, we don't know the individuals. Our concern was to saw the buildings springing up, and when we went there, we were chased out. So we made an appeal to the ministry, first to our management. They also made an appeal to the ministry, to Land Commission. We followed it up to the ministry. The minister wrote letters to them, shown copies, asking for at least portions of the land so that we could install this our equipment. But as we speak now, nothing has come out of it.
How long ago was this chase by these land guards pushing you out of the area?
About 6-8 months ago.
6-8 months ago. And since then, all the correspondence you've done in trying to get answers from the powers that be, the ministry, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, nothing has happened yet.
Nothing is working.
So when you say that the equipment you need to install, the old one compromises safety, what does that mean? Does that mean that if a plane is coming into the country, you will not be able to read properly how they land in the country?
Basically, like I said, you need to communicate with an aircraft. You have about 3 or 4 aircraft coming, maybe some of them converging. You need to tell one, climb up, one, reduce your speed, one, turn left. If you can't communicate, then basically they all move in that direction. You understand? So communication is key. So once those equipments, for instance, the HF equipment, that's the high frequency equipment that we're talking of. If we're not able to install it, Ghana, or for that matter, Accra, controls a vast portion of the ocean. So those portions, you cannot install VHF equipment there. They don't go far. Because they don't go far. So you need this HF equipment which travel very far. And once you cannot install them, it means you cannot reach them. And once you cannot reach them, then they will be doing their own thing. And for that matter, that you are compromising safety, they will crash.
Is there a day, should we expect that if this equipment is not fixed within the next 1 month, a day will come, God forbid, that some of these planes could crash through no fault of ours?
It's possible, but you see, in aviation, you always take precaution. The key issue is, if that is going to happen, the international community will not sit down. For instance, we have ICAO, International Civil Aviation. What they can do is, they take the airspace from us and give it to a state that can manage it. And for that matter, we'll lose as a country.
Are we getting closer and closer to that stage?
Exactly. We're getting closer because already we'd had before now we were controlling the airspace of Togo and Benin. There was a challenge. They put in, they contested with us. They have now taken their portion, and they wanted to take over the ocean. We went to the international, our international civil aviation, and they mediated, and we still have it. So we have to do everything to maintain and ensure that the services that we are providing is unique. Ghana is noted for that. We have done that for the past. The association wouldn't have come in if, for instance, we're getting the response from our management and from the ministry, because we do our best. At times we go beyond our means and make sure that everything works. But now the situation is deteriorating, and there's a limit to which the individual capacity can go if we don't have this equipment.
Currently, we are handling the oceanic area, vast portion of the oceanic area. If we can't cover there, there's this company called ASECNA. They manage the French-speaking countries. So if they are actually deploying state-of-the-art equipment, very soon, if we don't step up the game, what will happen is that even the oceanic area will be taken from us.
And if it's taken from us, give me an understanding of what the implications will be for our aviation sector.
Revenue.
How much do we earn in terms of revenue from that sector?
We can't speak as to how much we earn, but we make a lot of money from that.
And we'll lose out if we lose it. Will that eventually result in job losses?
Definitely. It will result in job losses. And the other factor is, when a Ghanaian is doing something, he do it to some level of perfection.
Yeah.
We cannot trust our ASECNA, brothers. They do their best, but the services that we provide, comparatively, the airlines will tell you, we do the best. So we wouldn't want a situation where the area will fall back to them and the services will be deteriorated. Exactly. In that case, air safety is compromised.
So with this issue that has come up, have you sent a petition or some appeals to the powers that be to deal with this?
We have. Over the period, we've been talking, and it seems things are slow. And you go to the land Quantanai and you realize buildings are coming up every day. So that's what scares us.
Okay, all right. So clearly the concern is that for aviation safety, it's compromised at this point because many of these lands are being encroached on. People have started building on these lands. In fact, for this group that have actually gone to the site with their equipment to go and install so we don't see a traffic jam in our airspace, they were actually chased out of the area when they went there. In fact, our reporter who went out today to go get us the story was actually stopped beyond a certain limit not to move because they had strict orders for people not to move beyond that limit with their cameras to capture. What we got for you today are pictures we were able to manage and bring you, not pictures that we were allowed to take on this particular story. Let's see what happens. We'll try and get you a response from the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority and also the Transport Ministry on what they're doing with this, because if it, to the extent that it compromises aviation safety, it should be a matter that we should all be concerned about. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you
on this matter. We'll try and follow up as much as we can and see if we can get you some answers and try and get closure on this matter before we see another crisis or an accident befall us in the country today. We'll go for a quick break at this point. When we come back, I told you before, there's something happening in La and Teshi, still on the matter to do with what they call the Usain Bolt or horse meters, prepaid meters they have in their homes. Details on that story after the break. You're welcome back. Now, earlier today, residents from 3 areas of Accra, Teshi, Nungua, and La held a massive demonstration against the high electricity tariffs they have been paying. According to them, they have had many talks with their community leaders, the MCE, and the Member of Parliament for the area, but all has come to naught. They claim they've also had discussions with the Public Relations Officer with the ECG, who explained to them that it was due to some irregularities with their billing system and that the issue will be resolved as soon as possible. Well, the residents are yet to hear from any authority concerning this issue and took to the streets to voice their displeasure. John News spoke to a number of the residents who thronged the streets of Teshi, Nungua, and La today.
it's about the electricity tariffs and then some kind of electricity meters they brought to these communities. You know, from our check, we realized we have 27 different electricity meters in the country right now. But the very meters that we have around these three communities, Teleshie, Nungua, and La, kind of, you know, we don't have a problem with it, because what we think is we're receiving a punishment from this very government for something we don't know. These three communities are the places that have illegal connections. We do illegal connections. We don't pay electricity bills. So they went somewhere and they saw these meters, and they think that meters can check illegal connections. So they brought it to these communities. What they do is they place the meters about 200, 300 meters away from our homes on the electricity poles. So in the night, when your power goes off, you will have to walk in the dark to the poles about 300 meters to reload. If it is raining, you have to do the same thing, which you cannot. Yes, so it's creating problems. Moreover, the bills, the tariffs, it's killing our people, because most people have electricity connected to their homes, but they're not using it. They are resorting to candles and lanterns just because they can't pay.
But who have you spoken to about all these problems?
We've spoken to so many people. We've personally spoken to ECG, the PRO and the director. We've spoken to our MPs across, and nobody is doing anything. So we decided to get on the streets for everybody, the whole world, to hear our problems.
As you could see, I'm an elderly person, but I'm demonstrating because of the killer tariffs. I have three messages for the president. First one goes to the PURC. First, we are pleading with the PURC to reduce the service charge. Okay? We are not against the prepaid meter per se, but one, the taxes are too much, the service charges, and then the rates at which the PURC has set the rate at which we are paying, that is today are unbearable. And then secondly, the taxes on it, the government must see to it that they reduce the taxes, because they are the killer things which has raised the electricity bills. So we are appealing to the PURC, and also to government to reduce the taxes. There are too many on this electricity bills. We are suffering, but all these things are as a result of the 7.5 billion cedis which the president quotes that he used only 3 months to win power. Now that deep trench of 7.5 billion cedis, 7.5 billion cedis, the president has to fill that hole. As a result, he has to bring taxes, unbearable taxes. This is our problem.
So those are some of the demonstrators today. Well, they were joined by the MPP parliamentary candidates for La. He spoke to us after the demonstration today.
We've joined the ordinary people of La Teleshie and Nungua to tell the government about the high utility tariffs and its impact on their lives. When you talk to people across these three constituencies, and remember, the people who live in the townships in La Teleshie and Nungua, one of the deprived people, they are very deprived areas. They can't afford the high utility tariffs, so we thought it was important to join them and to let the government understand and know that the high utility tariffs are affecting their lifestyle. They cannot use their fridges, they cannot use their microwaves. Some of them have to go into self-imposed doom so, but to be able to survive. So it's important we let the government understand that we cannot continue to bear the brunt of their mismanagement of the economy. The fact that it's an election year does not mean that when the ordinary people have concerns, they must not express them. Go to the cemetery and see whether they have the right to express about killer utilities. No, man must live. Policies and good living are for the living.
Right, so the demonstration had some political undertones. Some members, parliamentary candidates aspiring to win seats in that area, thronged the streets with the demonstrators today to protest the electricity tariffs that have gone up in that area for their prepaid meters. Now, just before we went for that break, I was telling you about that story that we just received about the second petition that's been filed at the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. This is the second petition in relation to the gifts given to the President, John Mahama, by a Burkinabe contractor. My colleague Evan Spencer has been getting some details from the Deputy Commissioner, Sraj Joseph Wetal.
Presently, in fact, as of today, we've begun the initial assessment of the allegation that has come from the CPP, National Youth League. When we are satisfied that the it meets all the requirements for a complaint or an allegation, properly so to speak, that is when we have a duty under the Constitution to immediately forward it to the President for him to comment whether he is admitting the contravention or non-compliance in written form to us. And if he does not, then we have to ensure that the matter is investigated according to our constitutional instrument that guides our investigations.
Does the fact that this has gained such national public attention, does it influence whether you hold, once you get into the full investigation stage, hold a public hearing or not? Does that influence the process you adopt at all?
The evidence would be the basis for determining whether we should hold a public inquiry. As I said, if we have all the evidence given to us in documentary form, assuming that all that we need is documented and it is sent to us, why would we want to go and hold a public inquiry? But if there is a need for people to speak to the issues and for matters of cross-examination and others to clarify some doubts and some contradictions, why not? We'll then go to the next stage of holding the public inquiry, or in this case, we call it panel investigation.
And I foresee you inviting a number of people to testify. I mean, the person who originated this story, Manasa Zuriawuni, my own colleague, others who have done extensive work, just so that you can get the full facts, correct?
Well, why not? Certainly, we are looking for the truth, and we need to let the people of Ghana know the truth. If it will mean that we would have to bring certain people to testify, why not?
How long does it take?
It can take quite some time, depending on, again, how accessible the evidence is to us.
But yeah, go on, sir.
But going by what we have heard and around, if much of it is documentary, I foresee that won't take so long, because at the end of the day, it is not about the length of the investigation, it's about the quality of the evidence that you are able to gather within the time frame.
So, and there's a huge public interest in this. What is it that you tell members of the public who will be hearing today about an official report has been received? And again, remember, because of the peculiar times you are in, you people will be under a lot of pressure from all quarters to get this done very quickly. What of caution do you have for people who have their hopes and their expectations so high, now that it's come to you, formally to you?
Well, let me even add that we've even received yet another one from an individual. I'm still looking at it.
On the same matter?
On the same matter. And so I would like to assure Ghanaians that the Commission will live up to it.
All right, so that's an interview with Joseph Whittal, the Deputy Commissioner of SHRAJ, with Evan Spencer, my colleague. Now we're learning that the second petition has come through on this matter, involving the President receiving a gift from a Burkinabe contractor. We'll go for a break at this point. We'll come back and bring you sports. And the man who sent the Ugandan version of Bukom Banku back with no title is here in the studio with Gary L. Smith. We have the details for you after the break. Stay with us.